No infants were harmed in the making of this video. A long time ago, in the year 2016, there lived a family in Michigan. The man of the house was Elimelech, and his wife was Naomi. Together they had 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion. One day the Chick-fil-A that Elimelech worked at exploded in a fiery blaze. Elimelech survived, but unfortunately the next closest Chick-fil-A was in Ohio, so the family packed together their things and set off at once. The family was able to make it to Ohio in one piece and purchase a 1-story house. Things were starting to look up again. However, Elimelech was kind of clumsy and one day suffered a great fall and died, then and there. As it turned out, Mahlon was just as clumsy as well, and one day died a similar death. Chilion, too, was just as clumsy as his father and brother, and one day he suffered the same fate as both of them. Now Naomi was left with herself, as well as Ruth and Orpah, 2 honeys that Mahlon and Chilion had met in the Chick-fil-A in Ohio. Naomi quickly got bored of Ohio, and so she wanted to go back to Michigan. Although Ruth was willing to go with her, Orpah decided to stay in Ohio, as there was no Chick-fil-A in Michigan anymore. As she had very little money left, Ruth resorted to digging through trash cans for leftover food and scraps for her and Naomi. It was then that she ran into Boaz, a kind man who had offered her food and a bunch of other things. Ruth was very grateful and accepted his gifts. Later that day, Ruth went back home with some of the food that Boaz had given her. She told Naomi of Boaz's kindness, charm, and amazing good looks. Naomi was impressed and told Ruth to seduce Boaz into marrying her so that they would be able to live in comfort. The next day, Ruth tried to seduce Boaz, which did not work at all. Boaz, being a man of God, refused Ruth's advances and instead offered to buy her and Naomi a house to live in, seeing that Ruth had been trying to take care of herself and Naomi alone. Pretty soon, Ruth and Naomi moved into their new home, which is way better than their old one. Boaz's kindness had saved them. Eventually, Boaz worked up the courage to one day propose to Ruth, to which she happily accepted. Not even a week later, the two had their wedding and said their vows to one another. Boaz and Ruth were now man and wife. The newlywed couple eventually had a baby boy who they named Obed. Though they didn't know at the time, Obed would eventually be the father of Jesse, who would be the father of David, the future CEO of Chick-fil-A. Ruth and Boaz's bloodline would quickly become rich and well known for their creation of the perfect chicken sandwich. And so, they all lived happily ever after.